Immaculate is the newest horror movie starring Sydney Sweeney and directed by Michael Mohan. And we just checked it out. So we'll tell you in just a second how we felt about it.
In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Hello?
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby.
I'm a boy. Know that they ride or die. I keep boys by my side. Know that they ride or die. I keep boys by my.
What's up, guys? Before we get into the review, just want to say if you like this kind of content, the best way to support us is to hit like below or subscribe, or do both, you know? But what is Immaculate about?
Immaculate is about Cicilia, an American nun of devout faith who embarks on a new journey in a remote convent in the picturesque Italian countryside. Cecilia's warm welcome quickly devolves into a nightmare as it becomes clear her new home harbors a sinister secret and unspeakable horrors.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
That makes it seem like it's going to be like a complicated movie. This is a really simple movie. And it's
Yeah.
really short and pretty like concise and tight little script. I don't know. What do you think about it? I'm curious. I don't know what you think about it.
So, I like this movie for two big reasons. The practical effects and Sydney Sweeney's... No, I'm kidding. The story, I thought it was... I enjoyed it, man. Like, I didn't see where it was going, and then when it gives you where it went, I was a fan. I mean, it's got the jump scare things, but there's also a lot of body, like kind of almost body horror in some scenes, and the physical, like there's some brutality to it, man.
Well, and it's funny because it takes two existing subgenres of horror that have been around for a long time. You know, it's kind of nunsploitation,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like pregnancy horror, and both of those things are real common tropes. But I think that they took it. I'm surprised actually that you liked it as much as you did, because I don't know, I liked it too a lot, and I'm surprised that it's not getting a little more love than it's getting. It feels like the reception's a little lukewarm to it, and I'm kind of like, I don't know what else you wanted. I had a good time with it.
I think it's one of the better
Yeah,
horror
it just
movies I've seen in a little while, honestly.
It wastes no time with anything. The acting, especially from Sydney Sweeney, is good, but I don't think anybody was really a weak point in the acting. Like nothing was like sticking out like a sore thumb to me. And Sydney Sweeney, I think we should get into spoilers, and we will in a second. But before I say anything that's truly spoilery, I'll just say that there are parts of this movie where Sydney Sweeney really lays it all on the line, dude. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I have never seen that out of her before. I mean, she's doing the kind of stuff that got, maybe this is overly praised, but she's kind of doing the kind of stuff that I think made somebody like Florence Pugh the scream queen of the moment when Midsummer came out. You know,
Yeah.
like she's kind of doing some. You know, I don't want to compare it to Florence Pugh. Their acting styles are very different, but like, yeah, she didn't leave anything behind in this movie.
Yeah, but you've also never seen her in Euphoria, which I think she is a strong role in that, and quite
That's
a few
fair.
parts.
I have not seen much of Euphoria. So.
Yeah, she does a great job in this movie. It's very intense in a lot of scenes, and she carries it.
There are scenes of brutality here that I did not think we were going to get. I really thought this was going to be a little more of a run-of-the-mill jump scare factory type movie, and my expectations were getting lower, you know, kind of by the minute. But it surprised me. Maybe it's because my expectations were so low, but I didn't mind the jump scares. I thought they were handled well. Even the fake out ones, I'm kind of like, yeah, this is kind of, I'm fine with this. There's a bad way to do it. This is actually okay. I kind of like it.
Well, and how it's the whole movie's not jump scares. It's peppered in with like some stuff that really makes you go like, oh man, like a few times. It's done so well. I'm happy that they had like at least 3 different types of horror that made me
that work for you. I guess.
Yeah, not necessarily didn't make me scared, but like it made me like, oh geez, okay, what's going on here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, certainly the physical stuff here, and I think there was a lot of practical effects going on.
Yeah,
but some of the gore was really shocking, and then I think we should probably get into spoilers soon because the stuff I'm going to say, like, it's hard to dance around it
Sure.
And not just spoil this thing. So we both think you should watch this movie. So watch no further if we're gonna about to spoil the whole thing. But the ending is just
Man.
so in your face. and it's so like you can't look away. You know, the whole screen is Sydney Sweeney's face.
Yeah.
Maybe we should. I guess we should say a little bit more if we're gonna get into.
Well, yeah,
spoilers.
let's back up. I mean,
Leading up to
obviously,
this point. Let's back up.
yeah. So like, she's a nun who comes from Detroit, and there's a big thing in her life where she's submerged underwater, under ice, and she breaks through the ice, or somebody saves her, and that's kind of what makes her into a nun. Like, God had a plan for me. And then,
Yeah,
so
she's decided like he wouldn't have saved me for no reason. So there's some larger purpose. Yeah.
But I don't know what the reason is, and she goes to this nunnery or convent, whatever, in Italy. And they got a reason for her, you know.
Yeah, they do.
And it does a really good job of like making you think there is a supernatural element, almost like it is the Omen type of thing, where she's the Immaculate Virgin, Mary or Cicilia in this case. She becomes pregnant, and you don't see anything happen to make you think any otherwise besides like a weird dream she has, and doesn't. But it turns out to be that it's just like a weird like eugenics type thing where they
so they show her, you know, looking back now, I know the moment that it happened because she hears a nun crying and goes to check it out, and there's this nun just absolutely prostrate on the ground with like a red cloth face mask or whatever. Something about parts of this reminded me of Suspiria. I don't know why. There's something about like this there's like a witchy haunted like something secret and terrible is going on at this convent that isn't normal nun related stuff. Like you can just tell there's creepy vibes everywhere. Nobody's having a good time. Like the general atmosphere is very strict and rigid, especially from some particular characters. But I mean, she does end up finding a friend there. But also like, I was just putting myself in her shoes here and like, man, becoming a nun for the first time is already such a shift in your life. And then you throw yourself into a country where you don't really speak the language to any extent at all. Like she doesn't understand what anybody's saying to her or anything. She hasn't spent, it's like she spent this is not a critique on the movie or anything, but it's like she spent really no time trying to learn Italian.
I mean,
like,
yeah, that
it
is
was like, they were like, we got a convent in Italy for you. And she's like put me on the plane. And they're like, do you know any Italian? She's like, shut up. Shh.
Yeah. That is one of my negatives about the movie, which we'll talk about in a little bit, I'm sure. But yeah.
Yeah. But they show her that nail. That was what I was getting to is they show her this nail, and she has to just kind of interpret from hand signs and stuff. But this is one of the nails that nailed Christ to the cross. And they show her that nail, and you don't really understand what happens there. It's like she's overwhelmed with the gravity of the situation of her holding one of the nails that went through Christ. That's how I kind of interpret it in the moment.
Right.
And then she passes out and has this terrifying dream where all these nuns wearing the same red face mask, like I think they stab her with the nail, right?
Maybe
in the dream,
I think so, yeah.
And then she wakes up from that dream. I think that dream sequence was what you're about to say, which was actually going on while she was asleep. You know what I mean? Like I think that was the moment in the movie.
Yeah, they probably impregnated her, yeah.
Right.
You find out about 3/4 away into the movie that the father there, they tell you earlier in the movie that, you know, he was a scientist, a biologist actually, that he became a priest and found his calling there. But really, from this nail, and this is part of my complaint with this as well, it's because they found like blood and all this and bone on the nail, and they've been trying to recreate through that DNA that they found. But wouldn't you have had to have like sperm? That you can't just recreate sperm from that, can you?
I mean, I guess the idea is like a cloning type thing. Like they use the male being like in a more complicated way. That really, I mean, you know, to me, a more complicated way than I would think like a convent would have access to. But that's a side note. But the thing for me, and I don't think this is so much a con. It's just like I'm trying to work out what the deal is here. But like, it's like they've tried hundreds of times, and every result is catastrophically bad.
Yeah.
So I don't know what gives anyone any level of confidence that this time is going to take.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
It's weird because like the file she finds that they have on her, they have like some DNA thing that they already know about her in some way, and she suffered this tragic thing, so God has a purpose for her on top of her DNA being similar enough. Yeah, it's a little out there, but I don't know.
I don't mind it. It's a movie, and
Yeah.
and I know it's like when you critique movies, it's easy to forget that like some things are forgivable, and I think a lot of this is forgivable. I wasn't exactly sure, except for the fact that they're like monitoring her progress, I guess, and so it's like okay, everything's fine so far, so maybe this is the one that's going to work out, you know?
Right.
But it's just funny that he ends up showing her all these jars of preserved failures of theirs, and there's so many.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, you've tried this many times, and you're really confident about this time. I don't know why you're so confident this time. And people get jealous of her, obviously, for her being selected. It's almost like there's other girls that are nuns there that were like promised this would be them, or you know, or they knew a little bit more about what was going on than she does. So it's like there was a hope that maybe they would be the one that brings the new savior. By the way, is it clear to you what they think is going to happen next? Like, what if she does have the next?
Well, just revelations, I guess.
Savior,
you know?
I guess.
You know, either people will be
but
called
I mean,
to
she's
heaven,
not even part of it. Like
the meek will inherit the earth.
Yeah.
You know.
So all that to say, you know, obviously she's about to give birth, and her water breaks at some point, and there's quite a bit of movie left by the time her water breaks. Like a lot is still yet to happen. But yeah, you want to say what actually happens?
Dude, I mean, they make a
At the
point to
end.
say that there's catacombs under this convent, and you can't go there. But she finds her way down there as she's running away from this father, this main priest guy, which was a very tense moment in those catacombs. She's just like running around with a flashlight, and it's hard to see. But she ends up getting away, crawls out, gives birth, and has a late-term abortion, I guess we'll say.
Yeah, man. I kind of thought that they were gonna show you what the baby looks like. I think that they actually made the right call not showing you what the baby looks like, because she
man.
gives birth to the baby and you see her facial reaction to what that baby looks like, and she doesn't say anything. She just goes and picks up a big heavy rock and smash.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the movie. Like straight to credits after that.
But the
so you never get to
noises,
see
you don't get to see it, but the noises it's making, it's like, that's not
the
human.
crying. The crying is not normal.
It sounds like
and you
an
do kind of
animal.
You do kind of see the baby in the background when she goes over to the rock, and it's like a darker, like it's an unusual color there.
Yeah.
Like, but that's all you can see is like blurry. But yeah,
there's
what a
this-
powerful ending! I think that ending really made everybody's jaw drop, you know, because that is just textbook shocking ending. And I know it. I guess I knew it could have gone that way, but it just felt less and toward the end of the movie, it felt less and less like that's what's going to happen. And I was trying to figure out what is going to
Right.
happen.
Well, because they make a whole
Insane.
point, too, to be like, they're trying to resurrect Jesus, so revelations will happen and everything. But then there's also, you know, the devil works in mysterious ways as well, type of thing. So it's like,
Well-
is she
well, because her
carrying the
pregnancy-
Antichrist? Or...
Her pregnancy causes issues that aren't normal. She throws up a tooth. She's given a confession at some point, and she's talking to the priest at the confessional and like peeling off one of her fingernails because her fingernails just aren't even held on well anymore. So it's like rotting her basically. So yeah, it makes you feel, you know, makes you think Antichrist for sure.
Yeah.
Makes you think a little bit Rosemary's Baby. You know, a bunch of people working together to create the Antichrist. So, you know, it's not 100% clear that was the goal of the place. I think that they thought that they were creating like a good thing, but
Yeah.
they are not. Big props to Sydney Sweeney for sure. This was, if you're like me and you haven't seen Euphoria, then this for me was like the moment where I realized that Sydney Sweeney really has some serious acting chops. You know, there is some points in the movie where it's just like her looking scared in the convent and panting and stuff like that. But this movie really, like I said, doesn't waste a lot of its runtime on anything. So,
No.
what are any negatives that stood out to you, or is it
So,
mostly positive?
I think I covered my negatives basically about how did they get the DNA to impregnate? Because I don't think you can get sperm from blood and all this stuff. But everything else I love, like I said, we kind of glossed over some of it, but the brutality and the practical effects, like some of these people's faces getting smashed in and stuff, was awesome.
Oh yeah. Any other thoughts, or you want to give this a rating?
Yeah, I'll give it a rating. I think I'd probably give it like an 8.5, man. I think this is one of the better horror movies that I've seen in a while. Like I said, there were so many moments where I was just kind of like cringing in my seat, like, oh man, I can't believe this is happening. And like the twist of it, because I'm thinking it's supernatural for so long, and then it's like, oh no, they've been working towards this through science, and it's good.
I'm interested to see. I don't read people's reviews before these things, like before we do ours, but it just on the scores, it looks like we like this more than most people. So I'm curious to see, like, what do you guys think? And if you don't like it as much as we do, what was the thing that was holding you guys back? Because I found a lot to like here. I'm not going to go quite as high, but I'm going to give it an 8 for sure.
Yeah.
I thought that was a great horror movie. So I'll recommend that to people. Certainly better than like the last 2 most recent memory Nun horror movies, like the Nun 1 and the Nun 2. I think you're a lot better off with this movie. But just my taste. But yeah, we look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. And thanks for watching as always. And we will see you soon.
I'll see you.